Hi, welcome to AAPI Voice, a program that promotes AAPI community engagement and participation. My name is Lisa Gray, with my co-host, Grace Lee.
Hi, I am Grace Lee. Our guests today are two young leaders in the communities, Ceena Vang and Zora Bowens. They have organized Stop Asian Hate Rally this past Saturday, the 21st. They show immense leadership, courage, and passion against the recent escalating anti-Asian sentiments and violence.
Congratulations on your successful Stop Asian Hate rally. There was a great turnout of support from the community at large. It shows that Asians are not silent anymore. Can both of you tell us a little about yourself? Maybe Ceena go first, then Zora.
I'm Ceena Vang. I've lived in Michigan my whole life. I've mainly resided in Oakland County, but most of the time I spend in Detroit exploring the city, trying to gain new perspectives on life through the culture of Detroit, meeting the different people of Detroit and the communities that I come across. I've been in and out of school studying nursing and have been working in the medical field for about the last 5 years.
I'm Zora. I'm also from Detroit. I'm a Black woman, as you can see, with a degree in marketing. I studied in Hong Kong, which is where I learned about different Asian cultures beyond my friend group in Detroit, beyond my friend group with Ceena being included, which I am incredibly grateful for.
How did you two get to know each other? And have you worked together on similar project before? If so, what kind of project did you work on together?
We met at an event in September of 2018, and it was this event where local Detroit artists came together to showcase their talent and their music. So when Zora and I had met, we had an immediate connection. So we decided to keep in touch. And from then on, we became really close. So Zora is one of my best friends. Aside from whenever we're needed to rally that happened this past Sunday, she and I have never thrown anything like that before or done anything that big. However, she and I are a part of a brand slash agency called Channel Iris, and it involves bringing light to underground artists and models. So over time, we'd like to expand that as well, but we're still putting work into it, but hopefully we'd like to see that come to light and be bigger than what it is now as well.
Yeah, and we haven't worked on anything together before, but we did go to like Black Lives Matter protests together. So we were able to see, we were able to fight racism together. And little did we know that while we were there, we would be getting intel on how to organize our own rally.
When did you start to plan for the rally? And how did you spread the word?
So we started to plan the rally actually Wednesday when I woke up and saw the news. I was just really overwhelmed and frustrated, and I couldn't imagine like how all my Asian friends had to have been feeling. So I texted Ceena and I asked her how she was feeling, and she just said that she was really upset. And I said, I want to protest. And she said, let's do it. And that was literally the beginning of everything. It was just those few words in that moment that led to something so monumental.
We didn't get the ball rolling on it until Thursday. So the idea had came about last Wednesday, and then we really started putting more plans. The plans started happening more thoroughly on Thursday, the day after. So even though it was last minute, we were both really confident that we would be able to pull it off, as long as we put the effort in and we acted fast. At first, we started by contacting all of our our Asian friends, checking in with them and asking them like, hey, how do you feel about what has happened? Like, would you be interested in attending an event if Zora and I were to do something like this? So once we had more feedback, which was positive, we decided, okay, this is happening. We have to do this because this is what the people want. This is what the Asian community wants. We have to give them this satisfaction by giving back to them and giving us a platform to speak on about this.
We really weren't sure how everyone was feeling, but the responses that we got were definitely overwhelming. And we actually did reach out to some one of the biggest organizations in Detroit for protesting, and they weren't able to help us because they weren't sure like what exactly the Asian issues were, like what we needed to talk about. And we just felt like we can't wait. Like we can't wait to speak about this. We have to do it now. We have to do it this weekend. And if it's not perfect, that's fine. If there's only 50 people, that's fine. But luckily it went great. And I feel like this is just the start.
Well, it is amazing to see both, Black and Asian community get together. So what drives your passion to advocate, for both communities? And what benefits do you see from both communities working together?
I think that what drives our passion to advocate for both communities is the fact that she and I both know that we have so much love for each other's communities. I know that I have a lot of love for the Black community and Black culture, such as Zora having a lot of love for the Asian community and the Asian culture. So because there is such a divide between these cultures, it's hurtful to us because we want them to come together. So that's why we're pushing so hard, is because that we know that if we can come together, we can be stronger as a whole. And if there's more room for communication, then there's more room for understanding and peace.
Yeah.
I think that for too long now, we've had our backs turned against one another. And we tend to forget that we all share being human in common.
Yeah. And I think that to Ceena's point, there seems to be some weird divide, and it's not much of a divide as much as that is that there are stereotypes and ideas about each other's communities, the Asian and Black community, against each other that need to be dismantled. And honestly, I feel like Asian people have been through a lot in this country. The Asian community throughout history has been through a lot. But there have been moments in history over and over again where Black people and Asian people have fought together to dismantle racism and white supremacy. So I think that the idea that we're not together is like a new concept I feel like it's an agenda that's trying to be pushed. And I feel like we're doing a good job at building the bridge for it to just continue that we are together, because we are one nation and we should fight together.
Really great. And thank you so much for your efforts. What have been your biggest challenges working together in achieving your objectives?
I would say that our biggest challenge, and this is, pretty much a little bit of what I just said, that it's really hard to address the anti-Black and anti-Asian feelings in both communities. And they both stem from white supremacy. I think that it lessens the number of people that we have to support each other, and it dilutes the conversation. I think that, we're one nation and we're each other's neighbors, and it's progression for everyone or it's progression for no one. That's what history has shown, and that's what it will always be. So the main thing is getting each other's communities to, get up and fight for each other.
Yeah, with what Zora said, there is just so much sentiment of hate towards one another. And Zora and I both know and understand that this is manufactured anti-Black, anti-Asian issues. And they're arising because these issues aren't being addressed. And Zora and I feel that we are a good dynamic duo to help dismantle this, because we are an Asian woman and a Black woman coming together, trying to speak on behalf of our community. And even if not everyone within our community agrees with us, we know that some of them do, and we want to be the voice for them to help bridge this gap.
What do you see we need to do to overcome the current anti-Asian sentiment and violence?
I think the biggest thing that we need to overcome is the idea that we are different. Like, I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of the Black community, like, yes, we have different struggles, but I think, and there are conflicts between communities, but it really doesn't matter when you're talking about the reason why there are conflicts and why there are struggles and why these things are happening, which is racism, bigotry, xenophobia, and white supremacy. I think that, to answer this question in particular for the Black community, we need to just do a better job in general at educating ourselves about our neighbors. Like, I know for me, having Asian friends, going to living in Hong Kong, and interacting with all these different Asian countries really gave me an understanding of Asian community. And I just feel like we need to do a better job at understanding our neighbor. And for Black people in particular, I think that there's too many, like, the racism has gone unchecked for so long because the comments are so sly and just so normalized that I feel like we need to do a better job at just nipping it in the butt and just stopping it and speaking up when we see it.
And as for me, as an Asian person and speaking for Asians, my thought on this would simply be to continue to just fight back, and to speak up, because we have been too silent and tolerant of this abuse and racism towards our kind, and it's gone on for way too long, and enough is just enough. And we can't keep being the model minority. We can't keep being the race that doesn't, or not that we don't care, but we just try to stay in our lane by minding our own business and keeping our head down and looking away. And that's just our lifestyle. That's the way we were raised. And we need to change that, because if we don't fight for ourselves, then who are we going to expect to fight for us?
As you both said, racial discrimination has existed for a long time, and it will not be resolved overnight. I would like to ask you both, what would be the most important goal or goals we need to achieve in the next 12 months?
I think that we need to be consistent with using our voices to educate ourselves and one another. But with that being said, because this change doesn't happen overnight, we have to be patient. We can't expect it to just happen in the blink of an eye. But I think that as long as we're consistent with raising awareness and fighting back by standing up for ourselves and one another, I truly think that a difference can be made for our communities. I think from now until then, at the end of the 12 months, I think we should all monitor the increase or decrease of the hate crimes going on to know. But I think that regardless of if it is COVID or not, we just can't keep allowing to normalize racism towards Asians.
Absolutely. And to add on to that, I think that, we are working on building a bridge between the Asian and Black communities. And in 12 months, I'd like to see that bridge established, and I'd like to see it surrounded by a river of empathy, support, love, and understanding. I'd like to see social change in how we address Asian issues, with them being taken more seriously. I think that people just don't feel like they're as serious as they are because they're not happening to them. They don't understand the severity of the things that they say and the lives that it can impact. And I also want legal backing, like change through legal backing, such as what Senator Chang and Representative Puri have done with Senate Resolution 30 and House Resolution 61 that condemn anti-Asian hate crimes and encourage people to report them when they happen. So I just think, I'm not sure what else we can do right at this very moment, but I think that solutions will continue to come.
Speaking of consistency, I would like to shout out for another Stop Asian Hate rally. It's taking place this Saturday, March 27th at 3 o'clock in Detroit at Spirit Plaza. Thank you so much for joining us in planning this rally. Hopefully we can have a successful event just like yours.
Yeah, we're also looking forward to working with you guys as well. And we will see you there next Saturday.
Well, thank you again for your support and dedication and advocacy for the communities. Do you have any final thoughts for our audience?
Thank you for having us, first of all. My final thoughts for everyone would be to continue to speak up against anti-Asian rhetoric, violence, hate, and propaganda, and continue to show up for every march, because you don't know when the next one's going to be. You don't know if they're going to stop or when they're going to stop. So while they're here, show up for every march. And if you can't, then continue or begin to support by sharing to your friends and your family.
Yes, with what Zora said, it's really important that we keep this consistency by showing up, by being loud, by spreading that information, by educating and keeping everyone aware of what's going on, because we can't just keep letting these tragedies be swept under the rug and wake up the next day and just become desensitized to these hateful, heinous massacres, So please, I urge everyone to show up and do what they can to contribute to this movement.
Thank you guys so much for your passion, for your commitment, for your leadership. Of course, for taking the time to be on our show. Oh, Ceena and Zora, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Grace, and thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate your time.
For everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe to our channel and see you next episode.